Don't leave us now. Days of Farewell to John Black. This week, as Days of Our Lives rolls out its preview for the emotional episodes airing May 26th to 30th, the long-running daytime drama prepares fans for one of its most powerful and heartfelt goodbyes. The storyline marks not just the end of a chapter, but the closing of a book for one of Salem's most legendary figures. And if you've watched John Black fight, love, and sacrifice for all these years, be prepared. This isn't just a goodbye. It's a memorial in motion, a televised celebration of a man who became part of our lives. A farewell fans will never forget. The preview released by Peacock pulls no punches. It opens innocuously enough, as these things often do, but quickly turns solemn. Tension hangs thick in the air. We soon find ourselves in the sterile, shadowed corridors of Salem University Hospital. It is here that one of Day's greatest heroes lies still, bandaged and motionless. John Black is dying. Marlena Evans, the love of his life and partner in every possible sense, is not standing by. She is lying with him in his hospital bed, refusing to let go. A visual so simple, yet so emotionally devastating, it instantly conveys the depth of their bond and the gravity of this moment. Longtime fans know these two have survived everything together: amnesia, mind control, kidnapping, even death itself. And yet now, as reality finally comes for John, there is no last-minute miracle, no dramatic rescue. Only time ticking down. Friends, family, and final words. As word spreads of John's critical condition, Salem's familiar faces begin to return, not for a storyline, but for a final gathering. What unfolds is less of a soap plot and more of a televised wake. Abe Carver, James Reynolds, who has stood beside John as both police commissioner and brother-in-arms, enters John's room and whispers the simplest, most profound truth: "We're family, John." It's a phrase that echoes through the preview like a bell tolling for the end of an era. Elsewhere in the hospital, Kayla Brady, Mary Beth Evans, overcome with grief, clings to Steve Patch Johnson, Stephen Nichols. For those who remember the adventures these four once shared in war zones, jungles, and secret agencies, this isn't just another death. It's the crumbling of the foundation upon which a generation of Days was built. One by one, the next wave of visitors arrives. Paul Narita, Christopher Sean, John's son, returns to his father's bedside, gently placing a hand on his arm, perhaps trying to memorize the feeling, knowing it may be the last time. Brady Black, Eric Martsolf, another of John's children, stands silently beside him, his face a mask of barely contained emotion. Then comes Will Horton, Chandler Massey, visibly mourning. Behind him, Carrie Brady, Christy Clark, wraps her arms around Marlena, the two women holding each other in their shared heartbreak. Generations of Salem gathered in one place, each connected through John. Eric Brady, Greg Vaughn, returns to Salem, a man of faith offering one final conversation with the man who helped guide him. And Belle Black, Martha Madison, John and Marlena's daughter, sits quietly by her father's side, her pain written across her face. Family is what gives you life. Perhaps the most touching moment in the trailer comes not from a grand gesture or explosive twist, but from a quiet piece of dialogue. Marlena, speaking to Kayla, says, "Family is what's in your heart, what gives you life, what makes life worth living." It's a line so pure, so resonant, that it perfectly captures the ethos of Days of Our Lives. Through decades of villains, doppelgangers, lost memories, and dramatic reveals, Days has always been about family, not just by blood, but by love. A prayer for a comrade. One of the most emotional scenes in the trailer belongs to Steve Johnson. A soldier, a brother, and John's closest friend, Steve bows his head at John's bedside and whispers, "Please help my comrade," looking upward, seeking divine intervention for the man who has fought more battles than most ever will. Their friendship, forged in fire, has always been a cornerstone of Days. Two warriors always ready to stand for what's right. And now only one is left standing. The final moment. "Don't leave us now." The trailer concludes with the most gut-wrenching moment of all. Marlena and John lie together in the hospital bed, her arms around him, her eyes filled with tears. With a trembling voice, she whispers, "Don't leave us now." It is not a plea for storyline survival. It is a raw, desperate cry from a woman who has lived 1,000 lifetimes with this man. A cry that will echo in every fan's heart. And so we know the truth. This is the end for John Black. Drake Hodgson, the man behind the legend as much as the storyline is about the fictional John Black. It is also a tribute to Drake Hodgson, who brought this iconic character to life. With charm, physicality, intelligence, and heart, Drake made John into more than a soap character. He made him real. For millions of viewers, Drake was more than an actor. He was a part of the family. We watched him through the glow of our living room televisions, we followed his struggles as if they were our own, and now we mourn him as deeply as we would a friend. A legacy that will live on as the week of May 26th unfolds. Days of Our Lives invites fans into a sacred moment. This isn't just another dramatic arc. It is a communal grieving experience for a character and an actor who defined an era. So, for those who have loved John Black, who have watched him fall and rise again, who believed in his enduring love with Marlena, it's time to say goodbye. But remember, though the man may leave our screens, the impact he's made, the love, the sacrifice, the courage will live on in Salem and in our hearts. Stock up on tissues. And if you can, watch with someone who understands, someone who remembers the first time John Black appeared, or the moment he discovered who he truly was. Because this goodbye is more than fiction. It's personal. Next, the flames of sacrifice. John Black's heroism and a life hanging in the balance in a week already brimming with emotion. Days of Our Lives delivered an explosive and heart-wrenching twist that left fans stunned, breathless, and reaching for tissues. Yesterday's episode wasn't just another chapter in Salem's endless saga. It was a gripping, high-stakes story of danger, sacrifice, and the unyielding strength of love. This wasn't just drama for drama's sake. It was a pivotal moment, perhaps one of the most courageous acts we've seen from John Black, the kind of moment that reminds us why he remains one of the most beloved characters in daytime television history. Let us walk through this episode in full as it deserves to be remembered. A lab in chaos, a hero steps forward. The episode begins not with quiet conversations or slow building suspense, but with immediate crisis. We open on a dim, smoke-filled laboratory. The air is thick and hazy. Equipment is overturned. Alarms blare softly under the sound of flickering flames. Against the wall, a man lies unconscious, or so it seems. Hope Brady, ever the quick-thinking former detective, springs into action. She doesn't hesitate. She throws on protective gear and urgently motions for the others to do the same. Dr. Jeffrey Russell, the man who's been working tirelessly on the experimental compound Versavix, steps forward to investigate the cause of the chaos. But just as he makes his way to the lab table, he spots something, a vial, small but unmistakably important. The moment he recognizes the chemical, he gasps and screams. That cry is enough to rouse the unconscious man, who jolts awake and attacks without warning. A struggle ensues. Chemicals crash to the floor. Glass shatters. Flames erupt almost instantly. Amidst the chaos, a knife flashes and the man lunges toward Dr. Russell. But then, like something out of an old war film, John Black throws himself in the way. He tackles the man, and the two go down hard, rolling across the floor as flames creep up the walls and smoke thickens. Hope grabs Russell and shoves him out the door, yelling for him to run. She turns to go back for John, but the fire has already grown too high. She's forced to watch helplessly as the fire consumes the entrance. A body found, a lifeline revealed. Minutes pass. The fire department arrives and storms the building. They're shouting, running, water blasting through hoses. Finally, someone calls out, a body has been found. For one horrifying second, Hope fears the worst, but then she sees the stretcher. It's John. He's alive. Barely. Still dressed in his protective gear, he's wheeled out and rushed to the ambulance. Burns cover much of his body. He is unresponsive. But then, a miracle. John opens his hand. Inside it is a vial. The last vial of Versavix. He pushes it into Dr. Russell's hands and whispers weakly but clearly, "Go. Save Bo." Even in the midst of his own life-threatening injuries, John Black's final thought was not for himself, but for his friend, Bo Brady. Hope and Sean pray for a miracle back at the hospital. Hope and her son Sean race through the doors carrying the only chance Bo may have left. They plead with the doctors to begin treatment immediately. Hope sits beside her husband's bedside, her partner through decades of love and loss, and takes his hand. With Sean and Sierra at her side, they begin to pray. The three recite the Lord's Prayer, their voices filled with trembling hope. As the doctor prepares to administer the Versavix, the family holds on to one another, trying to believe that this final act of sacrifice from John could be the miracle they've all been praying for. John's condition. A fight for his life. Meanwhile, across the hospital, another battle is unfolding. John Black lies still, wrapped in white bandages, barely recognizable. Marlena Evans, his soulmate, his anchor, refuses to leave his side. Dr. Kayla Brady delivers the news. The kind of news no loved one wants to hear. Very bad, she says quietly. Smoke inhalation. 3rd-degree burns. He's critical. Marlena's voice cracks as she whispers through tears. The kids are on the way, John. Please, stay with us. She refuses to move. Her hand never leaves his. I won't leave you. Not now. Not ever. Outside the room, Steve Johnson sits with Dr. Russell, the weight of grief and gratitude etched across his face. He tells Russell that the man who attacked them, the addict, did not survive. John saved your life, Steve says, voice thick with emotion. And your life's work. He protected that vial with his own body. He risked everything so someone else could have a chance. Then Steve breaks down. And for those of us who have watched this character play the tough guy for years, seeing him cry was as powerful as anything that's ever aired. The legend of John Black lives on as Marlena watches over her husband. Steve walks into the room. He looks at John, bandaged, unconscious, hovering between life and death, and says, Stefano may call himself the Phoenix, but he's nothing compared to John Black. And in that moment, a flood of memories returns. The Days fan will remember it all, how John came to Salem with no memory of who he was. How he discovered a plaque with the name John Black and adopted it as his own. The journey that followed. Brainwashing, mercenary missions, his years as a priest, his eternal bond with Marlena, always pulled apart, always finding their way back. All of it, every chapter of his extraordinary life, leads to this moment. And then, a whisper. From beneath the bandages, John stirs. His lips move. And with the last of his strength, he whispers, I love you. His voice falters. He collapses back into the pillow. Kayla rushes to him. Marlena clutches his hand and cries out, John. I'm right here. I love you, too. I'm right here. The cost of heroism in a world filled with fleeting headlines and short-lived heroes, John Black has always stood for something greater. Loyalty, courage, sacrifice. This week, he embodied it all. He didn't just save lives, he saved hope itself. Whether this is truly goodbye for John Black remains to be seen. But one thing is certain, his legacy, both on screen and in the hearts of fans, will endure. So for now we wait, we pray, and we remember, because if anyone can rise again, it's John Black.